of the story.
Welcome to JW Night Talk. So if you were just on the premiere, hopefully you're going to move over to the live now, and we can carry on with the discussion. So we'll go over to the comments and just see who's, so some of the people have moved over. So hello, Joe Barden. Hello. GG4. Are they cons? I'd say 99% cons and maybe 1% waking up. You're probably right on. Something's going on there. What's going on? Time will tell, right? Who else has a shot at this? Joe? What did Joe say? Well, we are on the cusp of the outbreak of the Great Tribulation. Something's going on. Great Tribulation at the Watchtower for sure. So any other hard evidence? I was looking online and I wanted to see the affiliation between Watchtower and Freemasons. Well, that goes way back. Russell, there's lots of information. Lots of people have done videos on this if you research it. And Russell was involved. In fact, when he started, he hired coal porters, and all those coal porters were Freemasons. And then he was holding his meetings. They started holding meetings in Freemason temples all around Pennsylvania, where they started their religion. Watchtower Bible and Tract Society of Pennsylvania. And isn't that interesting? That's where it's... So we often, the question goes out on the internet, well, is the Watchtower, are JWs, are they Freemasons? Let me see what we have, what we can share with you. First of all, let's go to this video. We're going to share this video here. This is off of the, going back to the, how do I do that? Yeah. So this video is going back to the annual meeting. This is how they opened up the annual meeting was with this video. It's, it's kind of a nice video, really. Nice song. You guys probably want to sing along to it. I could put it on right now for you. Let's see. Yeah, let's just play it a little bit.
We thank you, Jehovah, for your loving Son, who conquered the world.
Now, could you imagine this is what you're showing your kids in prison? These are your young people. So here you are. They start the show off here with a prison. This is a dark picture of a prison. This is how they're starting off the annual meeting. This is the image, the first image that they're putting into your head. I think the first one was this kid refusing military service. Where is it? Right there. There's the kid refusing military service. So he refuses military service. Then he goes to prison. This is his outlook, prison. And then barbed wire fences, man. This is what it is. But it's not that bad, You go to prison. And I'm going to turn the music down because I'm going to talk over it a bit. And you get into prison here. And yeah, it's an anthem, national anthem, small quarters in Korea anyways. And so now we sing the national anthem. We thank you, Jehovah, because we salute you. We look to the 9 members that we worship. Did I nail it? You could play with this stuff all day long. This is a national anthem. This is like God Save the Queen here in Canada. The same thing. So we're singing God Save the Queen. I mean, we're singing God Save the national anthem to the governing body. These guys, all these boys are going to jail here. Look at them. I did a video on this, and now he's writing a letter to his girlfriend right here. He gets a letter. They romance this stuff. They're romancing it right here. He's reading a letter from his girlfriend or something. And all these elders, circuit overseers, the branch officers, whoever those guys are, they're behind you, little pictures, this you guys are heroes, man. You guys are heroes. This is what this message is. And they carry on here. Opening statement. Everyone's behind you. Everyone's cheering. All you young people, be martyrs. Go to jail. That's what you want to do. We're waving at you through the window and through the computers on Zoom. We are all with you in jail. This is what they're showing. It's romancing. You seen that? This woman here is so happy. Where is it? This woman is so happy. Right there. She's so happy. Look at the happiness for her husband going to jail for the 9 members of the governing body. This is the opening statement, folks. This is how they're opening up their whole annual meeting, is with this kind of stuff. Now this goes on. She meets her husband out. He comes out. These guys. Now here's what I was looking at. I was wanting to look at the ties. And these guys are going to court. This is the governing body. You see that? There's Sanderson. I noticed up close he was not wearing the Norway tie here. That's why they didn't win in Norway. He has to wear the Norway tie. What did you guys think of Sanderson and the Norway tie on the other film? Now this guy's kind of wearing a Norway tie, but not quite. And you got to look at how these guys are posing themselves as they go work their ways through these videos. So they get to court here, and it's a big joyous thing. There's Sanderson. There's his tie, right? It's not the Norway tie. That's why they lost. Norway is going to court in January, in case you guys are wondering. That's going to be the last time Jehovah's Witnesses get a chance to go to court and fight this battle in Norway. This is it. They've done one put off after one put off, and now they're suing Norway for 35 million of their dollars. Of course, it's not the same as our dollars here, but it's 35 million of their dollars. They're suing them for subsidies. They said, we didn't get those subsidies. We were a religion, and then you canceled us. We want those subsidies, so they're suing for it. We ran some articles on that. It's crazy. So these boys are going to jail. There they are hugging at the end. He got out of jail. This guy got out of jail, and he's hugging. They're heroes. They make these young men into heroes. The big assembly, the finale of the anthem. I'll turn that up. Then they get into a little thing on guards. Now we ran these whole things on our last live, I think, some of these pictures, some of these films. And but the one there is I wanted to see was Sanderson. Was Sanderson actually wearing the Norway tag in that presentation? That presentation was about the young people romancing the military. We did a video not just the other day on this, and we actually showed some clips what the prisons are really like in Russia and different parts of Russia. And this is not a romance, folks. It shows that these young people coming out of prison are getting hepatitis, turbulent AIDS, other things. I don't even know what all the diseases are. Lots of diseases. The women, they're all 100 women are sharing one washroom, and it's just terrible. No water. They have to only wash once a week. The prison isn't a nice place to go. You're doing it for idol worship. If you're a JW watching this stuff, probably you're not. But we're going to look at some of the other stuff. The light gets brighter. We looked at a lot of these things. We shared them, and we're combing through all of these videos, and we're looking at them with different eyes. You know, what's going on here with the governing body? Is this are they waking up, or is this one big con? What do you guys think? You guys think that they're con artists and they're conning us, and they've actually been awake for? You see, we all know what it's like to wake up, right? When you first wake up, you're thinking, oh, well, you know what? We got to, like, I know for me, I thought, well, got to give away more emphasis on Jesus. Why did we miss that? You know, every other religion's doing it. We're focusing on Jehovah so much, we missed the Jesus part of the whole story. That's what I thought when I started to wake up. And then I started to wonder, well, this Jehovah, you know, is this Yahweh? I started looking at those two, and I said, well, you know, it doesn't really matter. Yahweh, Jehovah. Jehovah's the Latin form of Yahweh. But then you look a little deeper, and then your eyes start to open up. But when I started to wake up, I wasn't ready to look a little deeper. You know, you're only looking at the surface. You're looking at, well, they told us it was the truth. Jesus is the truth, the way, the life. That's Jesus, not them. You know, I can see them changing their religious name and calling it JW the Way. I don't know if you can get those, but JW Way, the org. I think the whole Jehovah's Witness has to go away. It's kind of a muddy name right now. It's really muddy, actually. Now, we were looking through these videos. Now, the one guy that we didn't talk about much was Gage Flegel. I haven't ran any videos on him. Gage Flegel. And this is a video. They call it.
Wow. We now have another exciting symposium that was specifically.
That's just Cook introducing Gage Flegel. Gage Flegel, love Jehovah, praise Jehovah. Gage Flegel. So here he is, love Jehovah, praise Jehovah.
The day was nice and 11, 33 CE. Jesus was busy in the temple teaching just a few days prior to his death. He silenced the scribes and the Pharisees with his irrefutable logic, at the same time sharing some of the most profound teaching.
Now, if you guys want me to slow this down, I will, but I got it on double speed just because these guys talk really, really slow, and it's really boring elsewise. But anyways, we're just going to listen to a little bit of Gage Flegel here.
Of his earthly ministry. For instance, pay back Caesar's things to Caesar, but God's things to God. Then one of the scribes came forward and asked Jesus, what is the greatest commandment? How did Jesus respond? His response would have far-reaching implications even down to our day for anyone claiming to be a Christian. We find his response in Mark chapter 12. I invite you to turn there. Mark chapter 12, and notice please with me verses 29 and 30. Mark 12, 29 and 30. Jesus answered, the first, or the most important commandment, the greatest commandment is, hear, O Israel, Jehovah our God is one Jehovah, and you must love Jehovah your God with your whole heart, and with your whole soul, and with your whole mind, and with your whole strength.
Do you know, in the New Testament, I showed this on some other videos, and I'll do some more in the future on the Bible if people want this, but in the New Testament he's reading from, and I have a hard time now listening to it now that I know this. In this Bible, their New Testament, this is the 2013 edition. Now, I also have the 2000 or the 1984 edition, which is different. It reads different than this one. That's an earlier version, but this one here has a lot of things that are missing in it. But the one thing that all of their Bibles have is they've added the name Jehovah into the New Testament. So when he's saying Jehovah this, Jehovah that, when he's reading New Testament, it doesn't say that in the real Bible, in all the original manuscripts. In fact, I show it where you go to Appendix 5, and they show this right in their Bible in Appendix 5, and they show you the the tetragrammaton, I don't know if you can see that, but I'll show this on more videos coming up, and you can easily see it on the computer. But they've added the divine name in. They call it they say we added it in because it should be in there where we think it should be. 237 times they put the name Jehovah in there to replace my Lord. Jesus never ever once said Jehovah. It's not in any manuscript, nowhere. And Watchtower admits this under Appendix 5 in their Bible. They admit it because they can't deny it that they added that in. So then my question is if they're not inspired, and we've seen all the videos, they're not inspired, they're fallible, they make doctrinal mistakes. This, to me, is one of the most serious mistakes that they've made, is adding to the Bible something that was not there. Adding to the Bible. 237 times they put the name Jehovah in to replace the word Lord or God or my Lord, wherever they thought it should go. And I'm wondering, if they're not inspired, who's inspiring them to replace the name of God or Lord with Jehovah? Who's inspiring that? That would be my question. We're going to keep researching that one. And it's not the name of God. You look, they've added Jehovah in. The name of God's not in there. But maybe the name in another sense. I don't know. But Jesus never ever used the name Jehovah or Yahweh or any of that. So that's kind of where I stand on that one. Now, these guys always throw it out there. Everyone thinks it's Jehovah, but it's not. Oh, I hit the wrong button.
You must love Jehovah. Love God. It sounds simple, right? Well, billions of people claim to love God, but they love pleasures more. Or they're willing to fight and kill their fellow man. Or they refuse to live by God's moral standards. All such things contradict their claim to love God. Well, Jesus demonstrated that love of God requires more than a feeling of affection. Jesus stressed how completely we must love God with our whole heart, with our whole soul, with our whole mind, with our whole strength. Does that leave anything out? Our eyes, our ears, our hands? Well, the study notes on verse 30 help us to understand that this includes our emotions, desires, and feelings. It includes our intellectual faculties and power of reason. It includes our physical and mental strength. Yeah.
So these guys are going to talk all about Jesus, quite a bit about Jesus. The whole 2023 annual meeting is about Jesus. The whole thing. Jesus
Your
talk
right hand.
about the Jesus movies.
The one saying to you, do not.
The whole next year, the 2023 convention, 2024 convention, is all about Jesus. It's a Jesus convention. So that's what Flegel's talking about here, is Jesus. Jesus. Now, I don't think we see him with the Masonic ring. None of the new guys have. Oh, there's a little ring. He has a little ring on his finger, but I don't see a Masonic ring. Now we're going to go back and we're going to look at Stephen Lett. Kenneth Cook introduces Lett. Stephen Lett, Jehovah's Chariot, moves on. Now Lett usually wears some kind of a ring.
I'm glad you indicated you want to hear this. 2 Samuel chapter 15, verse 1 tells us that Absalom, who was trying to usurp the throne, had a
Looks like he has a Band-Aid. Do you guys see that? He's got a Band-Aid on his finger.
royal chariot built for himself. It was pulled by majestic horses. 50 men ran ahead of that chariot.
He's got a Band-Aid across his knuckles. It's like he hit a wall. It's like he took his fist and got mad. But look at his knuckles here.
Now, as impressive as that chariot and rider may have seemed to many, compared to the celestial chariot mentioned in Ezekiel chapter 1, Absalom's chariot would be a sluggish, minuscule rattletrap. As we know, that chariot mentioned in Ezekiel chapter 1 represents the heavenly part of Jehovah's organization. Who is the rider of his chariot? Jehovah himself. Why is he depicted this way? Well, Jehovah lovingly controls the movements of his organization to accomplish his will and purpose. No wonder Ezekiel chapter 1, verse 18.
I don't see. Okay, there's his Band-Aid.
The reflection of the heavenly part of Jehovah's organization.
See it there? His hand is Band-Aided. His two fingers. No ring on that finger, so I don't know what's going on there. So now we're going to go through this whole program here.
Yeah.
Still the same program. He's got the Band-Aids on his finger. No,
When the end
not
comes,
much
and we say,
more
if the end
there.
comes before we finish,
So,
either
he doesn't have any kind of mason ring on his finger in this assembly. So Stephen Lett. Then we're going to look at Kenneth Cook. Do you remember Kenneth Cook? Does he have anything on his fingers?
Okay, please be seated as you are doing. Well, it's an absolute delight to be here today, isn't it? Yeah. And you're going to get happier as the morning goes along.
Okay, we're going to fast forward to him here. What's he look? Evil eyes. You see there? Evil eyes? No. I didn't see him raise his hand. I was looking for him to raise his hand. No.
The annual meeting, as an example, I'm going to pick a year of 2013. Now, that annual meeting has been called Landmark. We've even stated that. We called it a landmark annual meeting. Well, you might think that all annual meetings are landmark, and many of us here would agree with that, but that one was very special. At that meeting, the revised edition of the New World Translation in English was released. Very special annual meeting. And that landmark Bible release continues to be a blessing for many people around the earth as more languages are added. Now, 10 years later, exactly 10 years later, we have arrived at another truly landmark annual meeting. This time, Jehovah has helped the faithful and discreet slave to discern deeper principles and understanding from that very same word of truth. And this understanding is now going to be passed on to you. Are you ready? Are you excited to hear it? Well, before I cause any impatience in the audience, impatience or swarming of the stage, I better get on with this landmark program. We'll now enjoy the first of two symposiums. Each speaker will introduce.
Okay, so these guys really drum up the landmark meeting. This is a landmark meeting. Like it's when the only meeting that came close was a meeting when they released this 2013 Bible. This is a landmark meeting. This is a Jesus meeting. And we're going to get in here to Jeffrey Winder. Now, I don't think I've seen Jeffrey Winder wearing rings. We'll take a look here.
In recent years, the annual meeting has been an occasion where clarified understanding of Bible truths, a new light, has been announced and explained. Of course, it's not at every annual meeting that this takes place, but when Jehovah makes something known, often it's at the annual meeting where it is announced. Now, will there be new light today? I think Brother Cook already spilled the beans a bit. But we look forward to see what will be what is in store for our.
Yeah, no ring. Maybe the new guys don't get rings right away. Oh, he has like a wedding ring on the other finger.
It's very clear to us how.
Oh, he's got a ring there, but nothing. I didn't even see a watch. Do you have a watch? I think he does have a watch. Oh, yeah, he has a watch. You see it there? See if he raises his hands higher. Some guys raise.
Be that a governing body member in his personal study or his personal Bible reading notices something that then raises the question. Or it could be that a question comes.
But I'm sure he doesn't have the Rolex yet. He's too new. So we're going to move on. David Splain. Let's see what David Splain's wearing. He's a high-end
by means of an angel,
wearing wadi.
Jehovah God told his dear friend Abraham that he was going to destroy the.
No, he looks kind of normal. They all wear solid colors, suits, I notice. Not sure why. Probably better for the photography, maybe, for the back shot against a solid colored screen. Or are they making an example for the brothers? See, everyone looks at these kinds
of the inhabitants as well. But does it mean?
Oh, there he is. There's his hands. I want to see if he has a ring.
What about Judah? Jehovah's words to unfaithful Judah in Ezekiel 16. Jehovah said that the.
No. Some of these guys really get their hands going, but some don't. I don't see any rings. Oh, I see a wedding ring on his one finger.
His back on Jehovah. We
So
just
he doesn't have any. Jeffrey Jackson. Did he have rings, Jeffrey Jackson? Let's see what he's wearing.
It looks like I have to finish Brother Spine's talk. And I don't think you want me to talk about anything else. So what is the takeaway point up to this time?
Okay. There's his hand. No rings, just a wedding ring. You notice that? Just a wedding ring? That's it.
To do that, let's be quite frank.
Okay. So just a wedding ring. Jeffrey Jackson, Kenneth Cook. Go all the way down. Stephen Lett. Let's see on this one. I thought we'd looked at Lett already. He has band-aids on his
I'm
fingers.
glad you indicated you want to hear this. 2 Samuel chapter 15,
Yeah,
verse 1
band-aids on his
tells us
finger.
that Absalom, who was trying
He got, I don't know what happened. I don't want to suspect anything. Okay. So Stephen Lett. And the next one is Gage Flegel. We looked. He doesn't have anything. Garrett Loesch. Let's see what he has. He's a high roller. Big time
Later in
governing
human history,
body.
Jehovah created the nation of Israel. And
He actually looks pretty good, when you look at him. He hasn't changed much. He's compared to the other governing body. So there's a ring shot. Anything? Anything? I see a wedding ring. I don't see anything
paradise
on that other
inhabited by
hand.
righteous humans.
I don't know if it's just get a better shot. No. Oh, there his hand. Oh, nothing. Nothing on his hand. You see that, guys? Nothing. He's saying right there, right here, we don't get Holy Spirit. We don't know where it's coming from.
Entirely between the individual
What do you think
Israelite
he's saying
and
there?
Christian. So although it was required by law, tithing was entirely between the individual Israelite and Jehovah. Thus, the arrangement allowed each Israelite to demonstrate his personal love for Jehovah.
Okay, this talk was about they were trying to get more money out of everyone. They want more than the tithing. We covered that in one of our other videos. A lot of their talks now, they're talking about tithing a lot. And now they're talking about, well, if we're going to give our best, we're going to give more than our tithing. We're going to give our whole. And they talk about being like a Nazarite. And but they've really talked a lot about the 10% and more than 10%. And they said, like in the old days, you were given 10%, but now we're given 10% and we're given more than 10%. We showed that in one of a couple of videos ago. So it's quite interesting if you pick up on all the subtleties of all the words that they're using. Now, I'm gonna go back. Samuel Hurd, what did he say? Look at his talk. And this is love for Jehovah in modern times. And they have this fake crowd here. They always have.
Our income that we're commanded to give to Jehovah.
See,
The
they're after
tithing
more
arrangement
money.
ended with the Mosaic Law, and Galatians
tithing,
chapter
more
6,
money.
verse 2 says, we are now under the law of the Christ. True Christians today give Jehovah just as they have resolved in their hearts. But the tithing arrangement illustrates something that Jehovah still expects of his people today.
See?
Remember, the tithe was to be not just a tenth, but the best tenth of a person's produce.
Did you guys get that? Not just a tenth, but the best tenth. Not just a tenth, but the best tenth. That's your tithing for today. They're being very clear, very bold about asking for money. I think they are. It just seems that they're asking for money.
Produce and his animals. Jehovah.
I just want to look at his ring finger. I don't think. Now, what we noticed, Samuel Hurd does not raise his hands up anywhere in his video. I don't know if he had a stroke or something, but one of his eyes looks different. And maybe that's sometimes you can't lift your hands up if you had a stroke or something like that. And I don't know his medical history, nor would I want to talk about it, but something's different. Everyone's getting older. The new system didn't come yet. And so these guys are saying no more judging. The new system didn't come yet. The rapture didn't happen. They're even talking like rapture-ish. We're going to be lifted up at the end of the tribulation. Not at the beginning, at the end will be, some of us will be lifted up. Some might have to stay. You know, these guys are all over the place. So it's an interesting annual meeting. But yes, it looks like the heavy hitter was this talk here. And that's one that we were featuring on our thumbnail. This guy's the heavy, and he's a heavy hitter for the organization. He's the one that they show going to the courts, Mark Sanderson. But you look at that tie. Look at how brilliant that it's a Norwegian tie. You know,
Well,
I honestly think like they do this stuff on purpose. It's not like they're going to go home and us apostates come up and we make a big deal about their tie, and then they go home and look at, they made a big deal of our tie. I got all these ties. I'm going to have to throw that tie out now. I bet you he went down to the tie store and bought that tie specifically. Well, I don't think he bought it. The contributions buy this stuff. These guys just acquire all this stuff. And he acquired this really nice British tie. It's a Norwegian flag tie. You know, they could have made him some underpants in that flag color. But beautiful tie. That's the flag. And he's wearing the ring. So why is he wearing this ring? And is it just a ring? There it is. They already know that the apostates are online questioning. We all, you know, they know as well as we know that Russell was heavily involved with the Freemasons. Heavily involved. I think I don't know if they admit it, these guys, on any of their literature. I went in and I'll show you what I found. I actually went into the Watchtower and did a bit of research. And we're just going to have to change screens here. And what did I find? I found under Watchtower right here. Freemasonry. I went to the Watchtower, Freemasonry. That's all. You plug it in here, and there's two experiences. This 70-year-old woman, it says, still buying truth required him to make some painful adjustments in his life. Recalls Godwin. I was a member of the Masonic Lodge, and though it is known as a fraternal society that provides help for its members, I observed rituals that involved the use of skulls and bones and the invoking of spirits. And these spirits supposedly help those who interact with them to develop spiritually. So, you know, we could look at that whole article. It kind of talks about his studies and how he goes on to talk about how God detests spiritism and he had to quit the Masonic Lodge. And he says he destroyed all of the Freemason stuff, the literature. He even had a suit that he used for the meetings. He destroyed it all. Jehovah's Witnesses believe in destroying anything. They believe it's linked to demonism or spiritism, so they destroy everything. And that. Yes? Okay, so ICU says, sorry, but I had... okay, Gilbert says he is single, but has a ring on his wedding finger. Really? Who's that? This guy? I'll put him back up on the screen here for you. Does he have a wedding ring on? Is he single? I don't see his other hand going in the air. Okay, Gilbert, do you think that's a Freemason ring on his finger? 'Cause that's his right hand. That's not his ring finger. His ring finger is the other hand. And I don't see anything. I don't see that hand. Oh, there it is. Does it go up high enough? Can you tell? Okay,
I will
watch.
bring in gold. And instead of the iron, I will bring in silver. Instead of the wood, copper. And instead of the stones, iron. And I will appoint peace as your overseers, and righteousness as your task assigners. Well, what's the point of the prophecy?
Oh. What's the point of the prophecy? He does use a tablet, you see? I noticed that right there. You see that?
This four-part symposium. In part one, Brother Flegel reminded us why we love Jehovah and how our love motivates us to want to praise him. In part
Okay, I don't see his other hand coming up. No.
money.
Maybe he is single. All the other guys had wedding rings.
And as a result, they were blessed.
Oh, that's interesting. I wonder if he's Mason. Maybe just some of these guys, one of them or two of them are Mason. You know, it wouldn't matter, but it's hard to tell, you know, quite honestly, it's hard to tell if that ring, what it is, that ring. But these guys already know they're being flagged for this stuff. Why wear the extra jewelry online? That's would be my question. Now I want to show you guys some other screens here. Let's see what we have here. Freemasonry. Okay, we looked at the Watchtower. They have nothing on it. They don't even touch on it. They run from that subject. This other one here, does that come up? There's two of them. There, this one. Okay. Feature-length documentary. A feature-length documentary are Jehovah's Witnesses Freemasons. This documentary really caught me by surprise. I'm going to blow it right up for you guys because I don't want you guys to miss any of it. In fact, I'm going to get right off the screen so you guys can see it. Can you hear me still? I'm going to blow it up. Don't miss this. Here it is.
Are Jehovah's Witnesses Freemasons?
And I played it again to see what did I miss.
Are Jehovah's Witnesses Freemasons? No.
Oh. That's it. Well, I knew Jehovah's Witnesses are not Freemasons. I was a Jehovah's Witness and I was not a Freemason. The question is the governing body, are they mixed up in the Freemasonry? That's really the question. We know there's so many secrets. I don't know of any elder that was a Freemason. I think I did fire alarm tests one day in a Freemason's place, in a little Freemason hall in a little town. But anyways, I've never known. So anyways, that's an easy one. Okay, so are Jehovah's Witnesses Freemasons? No. Let's see, what else do we have here? Share screen. Now, JW governing body Illuminati ring. This is another one. Illuminati ring. I'll share this one. So this is off Reddit. You know, you do the research and you kind of read what other people are saying and try to figure this stuff out. And I do not know of any particular site that could zoom in on the ring and really see clearly that it was a Freemason ring. I think there's a lot of us that suspect this, but I couldn't see any of the governing bodies with a ring except Mark Sanderson. He had that ring, that big ring, but those Freemason rings are particular, I think. They look a certain way. We could pull one up online, but here's what this guy says. He says, is it just me, or does anyone else notice the members of the governing body and other high-ranking brothers are always wearing some type of ring on the right hand? Now that's what we're noticing here, this ring on the right hand, some type of ring. And especially on JW broadcasts, and I've noticed that as well. Does this have any connection to Freemasonry that occurred during the time of Russell and Rutherford? You see, we all know that they were involved in this back then. And the question is, does this have any connection? Yeah. And since when is wearing pinky rings and additional rings besides your wedding rings now a thing? That's my question. I thought that was a way out of date, wearing these extra rings and stuff on your fingers. But what do I know? This person says, please hope I'm not the only one who notices this. Also, they always seem to make a vivid occult gesture, such as 666 hand sign. That might be another thing that I'm not sure of. So we just kind of started looking into this, and it was kind of interesting. So if you guys have any comments, you think that there's anything we should be researching and showing on the channel, we certainly will. But what I think is going on here, I think they're really trying to make an appeal to Norway. And they use Sanderson all the way through. You know, it's really Norway. And if you think of I was looking at Freemasonry. I showed it on the premiere. We looked at Wikipedia, and it's about Christianity. It's heavily involved in Christianity. I don't know a lot about Freemasonry, but it's Christian. It's definitely Christian. And if you think it's that old, it goes way back to the 1800s, and a lot of the elite members are Masonic, perhaps in these countries, judges and people that sit on seats in the government are Masonic. And if they look a bit Masonic, you know, it's easy to see that Russell and them guys were into it. But the modern day Jehovah's Witnesses are not. You know, we were never introduced to that. But it doesn't say that one or two members of the governing body couldn't be, or could they pretend to be? Who knows? You know, they want to look good to Norway. I don't think you'd wear a fake ring that's Masonic, but I didn't see any M or Masonic thing on that ring. It just looked like a nice ring. Looked kind of like a Masonic ring, could be, but hard to say from the pictures that we showed you. And that's, what else do we have? That's about it on that subject. No, you know, I don't know if we'll pick that subject up again. We're going to keep following what goes on with Norway, and see if they check the box. That's my big interest in January. Are they going to check the box and quit shunning in Norway? So that's what this to me is leading up to, is Norway. We want to look good. We want to be Christian. We want to make sure we're Christian, a Christian religion. In fact, our next assembly is going to be all about Jesus, all about Jesus, all about Jesus movies, our literature. And there's no formal way of doing things anymore. We sit back. We have more empathy. We have more tolerance with people. No more judging. We are not the judge. Remember, he said that. We're going to be repeating that forever. We are not the judge. Jehovah, Jesus and Jehovah. You know, so they say Jesus and Jehovah now, not just Jehovah. Jesus and Jehovah. Jehovah has Jesus doing the judging. They're the judge. It's above our pay grade. We're going to have fun with this stuff, but that's the new religion, folks. This religion, this isn't even out yet. This religion isn't even out yet until November 6th. So it's all supposed to be secret. So shh. Don't let the cat out of the bag, you apostates. Keep this quiet. This is between us, what's going on. But it's interesting. It's funny in a way. I think it's funny. I find some comedy in it, but my friend the other night didn't find comedy in this stuff. Maybe I'm looking at things a bit too funny. I don't know, but you know, we don't get a lot of company here at the farm, since I told everyone what I was doing, so no one shows up forever. And then one day, you know, an old friend shows up. XJW, of course, you know, we're all on the same team, right? Wrong. But I didn't realize how deep the teachings are even into XJWs. And there's a lot of work to do depending on how far you want to get out of the religion. Out of religion, Watchtower is kind of standing back and saying Jesus is the judge, we're not the judge. They're taking more of a mainstream effect. If I was to write down my theses and nail them on the wall of the Watchtower, what they're doing would be the right thing to do. Quit judging. Jesus is the judge. Be more Christ-like. Teach more about Jesus to the people, and quit being militaristic about things. Quit pushing the people to put in 10 hours a month. Is it the national average in the US? It was. Quit doing that. Now no more, don't count time. Just check a box if you do ministry. If you're going to do if you want to be a Nazarite, they call it a Nazarite now. That's what they're trying to compare it to. If you want to be like the Nazarites, be a pioneer. You got to count your time, and you'll be treated special. You can't grow your hair long and grow a beard, though. We still haven't allowed that yet. But we want you to be a Nazarite. You see, the Nazarites were allowed to grow, well, they had to grow their hair long. They weren't supposed to cut their hair and their beards. It's part of their thing. I think they were supposed to all be virgins too. I'm not sure. We'll do a research on that. They're really talking a lot about the Nazarites. I might work on that next. But you guys tell us, what would you like us to cover on the channel? We love recommendations. If you guys have any, you can, if you want to keep them private, send it on an email. We certainly enjoy that. Now, I was going to say, the other night, I threw out a couple of videos, just kind of marking my journey, you know, as I'm fixing my faith and taking this journey as an apostate. I didn't think being an apostate was a thing, but I guess it's still a thing. You know, we kind of covered that, but you know, when we cover it and we wake up and we kind of move on, we don't realize that those that we haven't seen for quite some time, they're still thinking perhaps about the very last thing that they thought of when it comes to you. And when it comes to me, well, I sent out an email to everyone I knew and I told them I'm an apostate. I didn't say an apostate. I said I'm an activist, and I will be doing activism online against Jehovah's Witnesses. I'll be exposing stuff, and I'll be relating my journey, and I invite you to follow along. Well, guess what? No one followed along. Everyone views you as an apostate. Even though they're outside, they still have this Watchtower programming inside their head that apostate is very bad. And so that's what I was getting. And yeah, it was an eye-opener for me. So what I realized is that our spiritual journeys aren't about people anyways, really. Our spiritual journeys are really about us. And I'm going to show you a video, and this gives me a chance just to go get a glass of water. But I'm going to show you a video that says why you have to be alone during your spiritual journey. And we're just going to play a bit of it here. And I'm going to get off the screen here. And this is from Your Universe. I'll put a link to this video in the description of my video, and we're not going to play the whole thing, so you'll probably want to go to her site and watch the whole thing. But here it is. We'll play a little bit of it.
Perfect environment for self-reflection. When we are alone, free from external distractions and influences, we can turn our attention inward and examine our thoughts, emotions, and beliefs without judgment. This introspective process allows us to gain a deeper understanding of ourselves, our desires, and our purpose in life. It is through self-reflection that we can start to unravel the layers of conditioning and discover our authentic selves. These layers of conditioning are often a result of societal influences, personal experiences, and learned behaviors that shape our beliefs, our identity, and ultimately our experience of reality. They create a veil of illusion that obscures our true selves and separates us from our innate spiritual wisdom. Self-reflection begins with cultivating mindfulness, which is the practice of being fully present and aware in the moment. Mindfulness helps you observe your thoughts, emotions, and reactions without judgment. Questioning your existing beliefs and assumptions during these moments of self-reflection is a great way to do this. Ask yourself why you hold certain beliefs and where they came from. Are they based on personal experiences, cultural norms, or societal expectations? Or do these beliefs feel authentic to you? During a spiritual awakening journey, it's common to question existing beliefs and explore new ones. Solitude provides the freedom to do so without the influence of others' opinions or societal pressures. It allows us to experiment with different spiritual practices, ideologies, and philosophies to find what resonates most with our inner truth. By examining your beliefs, you can begin to discern which ones are in alignment with your true self and which ones are products of conditioning. Connection with the inner self. In the hustle and bustle of everyday life, it can be challenging to connect with our inner selves. However, solitude offers us the opportunity to eliminate external distractions and establish a profound and intimate connection with our true essence that enhances our spiritual awakening journey. By spending time alone, we can explore our spirituality without the need for validation or approval from others. This type of inner connection can lead to a more profound sense of purpose and fulfillment. Spend time in silence, meditation, or contemplation to connect with your inner wisdom, transcend limitations, and join with the higher spiritual realms. Trust your intuition to guide you toward your true divine self. Undisturbed space helps us delve deeper into our spiritual experiences and facilitates a greater connection with the divine. This type of direct personal revelation and insight into the hidden truths of existence go beyond intellectual knowledge and have the ability to incite a transformative, mystical experience that leads to spiritual enlightenment. Emotional healing. Solitude is also a powerful tool for emotional healing, which is something that takes place.
Okay, so I'm going to come back on the screen here. And yeah, that just gives you a little bit of introduction into that particular video that our spiritual journey is. We're really alone on it. You know, we could even be married, but even though we're married or we have a partner or whatever situation we're in, the spiritual side is still inside our heads. It's not something it's not like Jesus is walking around in front of us all. It's not like we're engaged in any of that. It's whatever we make it to be, our spiritual journey, and it is personal. So that's why when it comes to what people believe, and you know, maybe we've woken up to certain things and they still believe in 144,000. Does it really matter? No, it doesn't really matter, because everyone is experiencing this on their own, however they want to. Okay, we're going to look at another video, and this one is a little different. Why do you have to be alone? Now, this one is No One's Disciple. This is a really good one. No One's Disciple. And this is by Theramine. Again, I'll put the link to their site on so you guys can watch the rest of it. We're not going to watch all of it. We're going to watch a bit of it here. But this is talking about, they kind of reference this book. And this book is about changing the world and changing the self. Submission to a powerful leader, a group, or a deity sometimes enables the individual to join in their power. And most significantly, vicarious control is evidence in religious phenomena, as, for example, when persons speak of gaining strength through the Lord. So let's listen in on this. I'm kind of part ways in. We're at about the 7-minute and 20-second mark. And let's just watch for a bit.
In Alexander Pope's An Essay on Criticism, he cautions us not to succumb to an inflated sense of our own abilities. A little learning is a dangerous thing. Drink deep, or taste not the Pierian spring, a metaphorical source of knowledge. There, shallow draughts intoxicate the brain, and drinking largely sobers us again. If we plot people's confidence against their knowledge, we sometimes find a premature peak of inflated self-assurance right at the start. Having gained a little learning, we overestimate our proficiency. When we submit uncritically to magical heroes, especially supposedly infallible divine ones, our conviction can swell to absolute certainty. Our magical hero becomes the standard of truth. Every truth that contradicts our hero becomes a lie. We show unshakable faith in what our heroes tell us, and little understanding of it. Magical heroes can keep us stuck at the height of cocky ignorance for decades. Many of us who fall into misguided discipleship around them go to our graves installed on that summit. For those of us who do start to realize there's something wrong, we face a humbling nosedive into doubt and despair. This nosedive will be familiar to many folks who've managed to let go of magical heroes. I experienced it myself in my teens when, having been indoctrinated into Christianity, I realized I was no longer persuaded by its claims. Having lived high in the clouds for years, I set out to find sound, honest justifications for my discipleship, reasons that could withstand any scrutiny. Instead, I discovered I was in a giant emotional protection racket. Many magical heroes run rackets, promising to protect individuals from some harm. This protection often turns out to be non-existent. The magical heroes of Christian scripture, a God character and a man claimed to be his son, were said to offer two kinds of protection. One was protection from a realm of eternal torture, a realm beyond death that couldn't be verified. The other protection was from hazards in this earthly life, disease, disaster, destitution. To get this second type of protection, disciples had to plead for help from the magical heroes by praying. This second type would conceivably be open to verification, except for the fact the outcome was completely down to chance. Disciples were told their prayers might or might not be accepted. We might or might not escape our abusive partner. Our child might or might not die of cancer. Comedian George Carlin famously said he stopped praying to God and started praying to the actor Joe Pesci. And he noticed the prayers he offered God and the ones he offered Joe Pesci were answered at about the same 50% rate. Chance divine intervention is indistinguishable from actual chance. An unverifiable realm of torture is indistinguishable from a scary story. And a protection racket that fails to demonstrate any protective function is indistinguishable from a pure extortion racket. When our magical heroes become the defining standard of truth and morality, all kinds of concepts get corrupted. Superficially, some of these corruptions might seem positive, but the effects are corrosive. My former magical Christian heroes were said to have executive power to forgive all our transgressions against everyone. But forgiveness has to come from the people we hurt. No one else can forgive us in their place. A mother might forgive her son's killer for her own pain and loss, but she can't offer vicarious forgiveness on her son's behalf. The idea of divine vicarious forgiveness destroys the concepts of moral agency and responsibility on which forgiveness rests. It means we're no longer answerable to the people we wrong. Their grievances with us can be erased by a third party. And the corruption goes deeper. To receive this worthless vicarious forgiveness, we're told we have to forgive others. We have to forget about any apologies. If we don't forgive them, Our magical heroes won't forgive us. In this atmosphere of unearned forgiveness, many disciples predictably learn to take it for granted. In 2017, Amber De Bono and colleagues saw this reflected in 3 experiments where participants were led to believe they were unsupervised. Christians who were instructed to read and write about a forgiving God stole more money and cheated more on a math test than Christians who read and wrote about a punishing God, a forgiving human, a punishing human, or a neutral story. De Bono and colleagues remarked, "It seems that feeling that God has forgiven our own trespasses may merely leave us feeling free to trespass again." Obviously, to suggest all Christians would cheat or steal like that is absurd. Honest Christians wouldn't dream of it. But this finding will resonate with many Christians and ex-Christians who've been repeatedly mistreated by fellow disciples who never apologize or mend their ways, because every week at church there's an enforced amnesty where everyone has to forgive everyone else or suffer the consequences. Automatic forgiveness is not the loving concept it might seem on first glance. It stunts our moral and social development. For abusive disciples, it removes the incentive to reflect on their behavior, to take responsibility and do better. For targeted disciples, it breeds resentment, which they're expected to just go on swallowing to bursting point. Forgiveness gained by proxy or inducement is worthless emotional snake oil. When we use these magical divine heroes as role models, taking everything they say and do to be correct, we reproduce their chaos, their virtues, their flaws, their wisdom, their stupidity, their charity, their abuse. We mimic the good and the bad without comprehending the difference. We can also find ourselves mimicking behavior that has no moral component. Within the mystical branch of Islam known as Sufism, there's a story of a disciple called Bayezid Bastami who refused to eat watermelon because he didn't know how Islam's author, the magical hero Muhammad, cut and ate watermelons, and he didn't want to do it the wrong way. There are similar stories in Islam of a disciple who would do a 360-degree turn on his camel after mounting it, and a disciple who would kiss stones for no other reason than that they'd observed their magical hero doing it. Replicating arbitrary gestures is the foundation of superstition. As humankind proceeds into uncharted areas, the gulf between our long-dead magical heroes and our modern lives becomes ever wider. Advancements in technology and medicine, from in vitro fertilization to interplanetary colonization, raise.
Okay, so yeah, we kind of get the idea there about. Let me see if we can change the screen here. Oh. There we go. Yeah, we get the idea that these guys have a lot of books they're selling. I'm thinking, or they're books that this guy's read. But I like how he explained here how these heroes, these leaders, and when we think of the Watchtower, the governing body, the 9 members, they're really the heroes. They're the ones that are supposed to bring this spiritual food at the right time. Even though now with the new knowledge, they're infallible, they're not inspired, they make mistakes. Some of their doctrinal issues are going to change overnight. They are, because they're no longer the judge. So it's interesting to see, excuse me, what's going to happen next with this religion. Okay, so this video helped me out quite a bit, I think. Kind of takes you outside of the Bible. You know, when we really look at the Bible, it's offering us unverifiable stuff. It's offering us punishment if we don't do the right thing, or forgiveness if we do the wrong thing. You know how many Jehovah's Witnesses do the wrong thing, get disfellowship, get reinstated, get disfellowship, get reinstated? They do that circle. Well, we see that in life with other religions too, and we're really looking at religion as in general. That's what this video is about. And I would say that this video is probably just showing how it's easy to be atheist and get outside of religion and say this is kind of all just business. It's all business, really. And it's designed to control people and get money from people because they're offering this unverifiable paradise or something. And that's what this video is really talking about. Now we're going to go to my last video I have for you here. It might, let me see here. And it's the Sacred Secret. Now this video, I think, will bring you back up. So for those of you that have a spiritual belief, that you believe in spirituality, the last video shows you that it could be all baloney, all con artists. You know, that's what it kind of looks like in the Watchtower anyways. But is it all like that? Is there anything that's worthwhile in this book? Well, maybe not this Bible. Maybe you get a real Bible. I don't know. But is there anything worthwhile in the Bibles, in all of the holy books on earth? Well, this might bring you back up. Just play a little bit of this video here. And I'm going to get off the screen and let you guys be the judge.
Do you know that the story of Jesus, how it's been altered in certain ways? I mean, yes, there was a guy, yes, there was teachings, all that stuff, but there's 33 vertebrae in your spine. There's 33 years in the life of Jesus. There is a substance or liquid or a substance that comes from your medulla, which is basically completely looks like the Ark of the Covenant, has angels' wings around it, the whole thing. So this substance comes from your medulla, makes the trip down your spine to your sacrum, which is Christ coming down into human form. Yeah. It ascends again and goes back up to heaven. It's also the story of Santa Claus. Why he comes down the chimney is because this juice or this whatever substance actually passes what's called the claustrum, which is where they got Santa Claus. So it goes down the chimney.
In many spiritual traditions, there is a sacred secret that is associated with the concept of spiritual awakening and enlightenment. Although this sacred secret is known by different names within different spiritual practices, it bears a common theme in each of these traditions, which is this. Coiled like a snake at the base of the spine in every human being resides dormant the primordial energy of the universe. And when awakened, it rises up the spine, carrying its full power all the way up to the summit of our brains, rebirthing and resurrecting a power from within. Some refer to this as third eye opening or pineal gland activation. In ancient Indian spiritual traditions, it's known as Kundalini, which can be translated as coiled one. In Gnostic Christianity, it is known as the process of raising the chrism, with chrism referring to the cerebrospinal fluid produced in the brain. In yogic terms, it's sometimes referred to as the spiritual spine. And for some, this knowledge has been hidden deep within their religious traditions, reserved only for the most elite. Behind the guise of historical record, there is a map of the consciousness of man that explains how to raise the awareness into the higher states of enlightenment. We are given clues along the way that we can use to decode and illuminate this path of awakening. The Bible itself is a manual full of these types of clues, and it's written in code for those willing to take the time to decipher it, albeit more than 90% are taught that it's a literal account of historical events. If you are willing to open your mind to the other possibilities and interpretations of this book, I will share some of those here. And regardless of what you believe to be truth, there will be interesting things along the way to think about. The mystery of the words, Christ is in you, is what this sacred secret reveals. The temple of God is your body, rather than a place that you visit. From the 1920 book titled God, Man, The Word Made Flesh, by Dr. George W. Carey, who combined religion, astrology, anatomy, and chemistry in his works, he writes, Seed, word, and God are all synonyms of one and the same thing, the wonderful creative substance, the universal S, from which all things are brought forth, and in which all things are. The scriptures, or allegories and parables of the Bible, are the only writings that give us information as to what the Word of God is. Therefore, in this book, we will quote what is written there in regards to it. Seed is the cause, the nucleus of everything. Therefore, a seed is the beginning. In the beginning was the Word. That creative essence is within you. Christ is this creative essence within you. And as the ancients have documented, there is a resurrection and rebirth of that Christ that takes place within each person at the appointed time. From the chapter in the book God-Man entitled The Antichrist, in which Dr. Carey is referring to the Roman Emperor Constantine and his manipulation of the Bible to hide the truth of man, he writes, "Primitive Christians, the Essenes, fully realized and taught the great truth that Christ was a substance, an oil, or ointment, contained especially in the spinal cord, consequently in all parts of the body, as every nerve in the body is directly or indirectly connected with the wonderful river that flows out of Eden, the upper brain, to water the garden. The early Christians knew that the scriptures, whether written in ancient Hebrew or the Greek, were allegories, parables, or fables based on the human body, fearfully and wonderfully made. These adepts knew that the secretion, gray matter creative, that issues, secretes, from the cerebrum, was the source and cause of the physical expression called man, and they knew that the river of Jordan was symbolized in the spinal cord, and that the Dead Sea was used to symbolize the sacred plexus at the base of the spinal column, where the Jordan spinal cord ends, typifying the entrance of Jordan into the Dead Sea. When the oil, ointment, is crucified, to crucify means to increase in power 1,000-fold, not to kill, it remains 2.5 days, the moon's period in a sign, in the tomb, cerebellum, and on the third day ascends to the pineal gland that connects the cerebellum with the optic thalamus, the central eye and the throne of God, that is the chamber overtopped by the hollow, hallowed, caused by the curve of the cerebrum, the most high of the body, which is the temple of the living God, the living, vital substance, which is a precipitation of the breath of life, breathed into man, therefore the holy, whole ghost, or breath. The pineal gland is the pinnacle of the temple. In regards to the pineal gland, he states earlier in his book, the pineal gland is directly referred to in the Bible as Mount Peniel, where Jacob wrestled with the angel of the Lord. In Hebrew, the word means face of God. It is indeed the face of God, the top of this gland being the eye. Where can the eye be located save in the face? And in another section of this book, he talks about this activation when he states,
"So the secret to becoming a millionaire is right under everyone's nose. Now, when you figure it out..."
The fluid, oil, or marrow which flows down the spinal cord comes from the upper brain, the Creator or Father, the Most High, and is known in physiology as ovum, or generative seed, that life essence which creates the human form of corruptible flesh. In the Greek, from which the New Testament was translated, this marrow is called Christ, which is the Greek word for oil. When this oil is refined, transmuted, lifted up, raised, it becomes so highly vitalized that it regenerates the body and overcomes the last enemy, death. How can it be lifted up? By lifting up the Son of Man, the seed, the Word, the Savior. The oil, Christ, in the spinal cord, is the salt which is mentioned in the Bible, and the Savior is the seed or Jesus. The salt and the Savior both come from the same source, the same place, the Father, the upper brain. In the Bible allegory, the seed, Jesus, is made to say, "Without my Father, I can do nothing." And from the chapter titled Journey of Joseph and Mary, Dr. Carey gives us more clues when he states, "On either side of the thalamus, in the head, is a gland known in physiology as the pineal on the posterior, and the pituitary on the anterior side of the thalamus. The pineal is cone-shaped and secretes a yellow or golden fluid. The pituitary body opposite is ellipsoid in shape and contains a whitish secretion like milk. The fluids that are found in both these bodies come from the same source, namely the claustrum, which means barrier or cloister, and is referred to as cloister for the very good reason that a precious and holy thing is secreted or secluded there. Saint Claus or Santa Claus is another term for this precious fluid, which is indeed a holy gift in the body of each one of us. The precious fluid which flows down from the colostrum separates, part going into the pineal gland and part to the pituitary body, and these, being special laboratories of the head, differentiate the fluid from the colostrum, and it takes on the colors above mentioned, and in the pineal gland becomes yellow and has electric properties. The pituitary body, having the milk-like fluid, has magnetic properties. These two glands are the male and female, the Joseph and Mary of the physical body, and are the parents of the spiritual son born in the solar plexus of each human being, commencing about the age of 12. This yellow and white material, which is the milk and honey referred to in the Bible, the children of Israel having been given the promise of a return to this land flowing with milk and honey, at last reaches the solar plexus via semilunar ganglia, the Bethlehem of the physical body. In Hebrew, Bethlehem means house, Beth, of bread, Lehem. I am the bread of life, said the allegorical Jesus. In the solar plexus is a thimble.
Okay, I better shut this off. I didn't realize we were going that far in it. So you guys can watch the rest of it. I thought that was the first time I seen anything like this. That was just one of the sites I perused through. But it's interesting how they linked our whole spinal system to the promised land, how it kind of looks the same inside the brain. What does this all mean? I don't know. It just shows me that there's a lot of different beliefs out there, different understandings, and how the Bible can be used in so many different ways. You know, they call the Bible a double-edged sword, but here I see, you know, if you view it this way, the Bible this way, I guess, if you view it this way, that it's more of a personal way of looking at it. And that means when you look around at everyone, there's no judging, because everyone has this Christ's fluid, this oil within them, within their spinal cord. And maybe there's something to this. I'm not sure. But we do know that we're all made in the image of God. We all have that, as Jehovah's Witnesses, we were taught that. We do know the Bible says that in so many places. So there is something special about the human being that's different from the animal kingdom. You know, we have this desire to know that about a God and spirituality. And from some of the research I've read, 80% of people, Americans, or the study was done in American, there's a peer research, they said 80% of the religious people claim they've had divine intervention. So maybe you're one of them, you've had divine intervention in your life, and spirituality is just, yeah, there's something there, and you're spiritual. Or maybe you didn't have divine intervention. And you know, the other study we read, the theramine thing, they said, well, you know, if you believe in Christ or you believe in a gopher, it doesn't matter. You pray for both. 50% of the time it's going to happen. 50% of the time it doesn't matter what you believe in. It's just chance. And so anyways, we've looked at both sides of the coin tonight, and it gives everyone a chance out there to kind of use their own reason. And the reason I wanted to show this is it helped me to build tolerance. And that's what I needed to do, is to build a little bit more tolerance toward other people's beliefs, and especially my best friends, ex-JWs that have come and they still have a bit of JW belief in them. That's okay. There's no reason to run outside of the house and run around the house 10 times, all excited because your best friend's still in the watchtower. It doesn't matter. That's his personal choice, his or her personal choice. And, you know, like we've always said, you know, probably 90% of the stuff we learned was okay, but 10% of it's poison, we know. You don't bow down to 9 men, we know that. That's like the 3 Hebrews getting thrown into the fiery furnace. You know, that's what happens. The watchtower throws you into a fiery furnace of disfellowshipping or shunning if you speak out. So it's really much the same. We can use the Bible in so many ways. We can parallel it to our life as ex-JWs, and it seems to fit. So it's no wonder that this here article, it happens to your pineal gland every 29 and a half days. It's eye-opening. I'll put a link to that in the description below, and And that brings an end to our program, I think. Any comments? We have some comments we're going to look at. I'm going to go right to the top, I guess. Oh, okay. Happy birthday, I see you. Well, cat's out of the bag, eh? I hope they didn't say how old I was. You guys know I'm pushing 80, eh? I'll be 80. Okay, it's Vern's birthday. Happy birthday. Well, thank you, Beverly. Vern's birthday. Hip, hip, hooray. Have an extra happy and wonderful birthday. Thank you, AG74. In Chronicles of Lucifer, Vern is such a compassionate human, spending his birthday with all of us, sharing mental health videos. I hope I get to shake your hand, sir. Well, there you go. Shake everyone's hands. And Larry was thinking about the Band-Aid on Stephen Lett's hand. I bet someone little enemy of God. That's a good one. Little baby bit him. Okay, that was a good one. And Fixing My Faith, we're live next Tuesday during the day covering the Be Free 2023 protest in Washington. It runs 10 to 3 p.m. So next week, we will be live earlier in the day at 10. That's Mountain Standard Time. Is that Mountain Standard Time? Right? It's going to be the DC time, right? Yeah, so it'll be Eastern Time. DC runs Eastern Time. So yes, great show. Thank you, Chronicles of Lucifer. And perhaps I'll check them out for sure. Okay. One more. Gilbert said they are cons, but I would love to hear the flip side. Okay. What's the other one? Okay, Jay, I will try it. Awakened. Happy birthday, Awakened. Thank you. Well, thank you, everyone. It's been a great show. And what do we put for outro? Well, here's what I want to say to you guys. And I think, well, this is Be Free Week, right? So we're gonna go to Be Free, and we're gonna tell them what we think. Here we go. So, folks, until next time, you know the line. Bye for now.